Welcome back to joining us at Fresh Sim Racing. This is our club sprint night for round 3. This is the 3rd edition of our club sprint night in our 2nd season. Tonight we are at Laguna Seca after all the fun that we ended on last week at Catalunya National, Barcelona National Circuit. We are now at the Laguna Seca circuit. As you can see, there are 11 drivers prepared for this first initial race in the Formula Renault 3.5. We're going to be bringing you 5 races tonight, as we do every Club Sprint Race night. We bring 5 different cars around the same track, and we will try to bring you some really good action that we saw at the end of last week. If you missed last week's stream, it's on our YouTube channel. Feel free to jump back and catch specifically the last 2 races were really interesting in the GT5 and the Renault Clio. So tonight's course of action, we've got as you can see on screen, we've got Formula Renault 3.5s. Then on to our second race, we're going to be driving the Lamborghini Super Trofeos. The third race is going to be in the vintage Aston Martin DBR1, a very tricky car to control, especially around a twisty circuit like this. On to a fourth race, we've got the Renault Clios. And the final race of the evening will be Ginetta GT5s. So what makes this club race night so special, beyond the fact that we're racing 5 cars around one track? These drivers only get 10 minutes. They only get 10 minutes practice to get used to the cars, get used to the track, and then they're straight into a 15-minute sprint race. There is no qualifying, everything's done random grids, so it's a bit of a luck of the draw. You could have a really good position or a really poor position. You've got to fight your way through, or you get to drive away into the distance from line 1, but it's not usually the case. We normally get quite a lot of infighting between a number of the drivers. The drivers are set on fixed setups, so the drivers are all driving the same car with 2 variants, either loose or stable. It's down to their personal preference as to which one they choose, but ultimately everyone is in the same equipment, driving the same track, with the same basic amount of practice and time getting used to the cars. We see Harry at the moment topping the leaderboards for the current practice time. I expect that time to be beaten as we have 6 more minutes remaining. So onto lobby settings, we're going to be running the same time, same settings for all cars. So this, what you see now, is what you get. It's set at 7 o'clock in the morning and it's medium cloud, so the cloud is overhead, keeping the track relatively cool, so tyre wear and tyre heat shouldn't really be a problem. We are running accelerated tyre wear, which means if you do a lot of wheel spinning, do a lot of locking and braking, get those tyres too hot, you are going to struggle, even in these 15-minute sprint races, to have the tyres last the distance. So that is going to be a factor for sure. As for our current race at hand, let's have a look who we've got. We've got Harry, who's raced with us a few times before. Just going to be checking on my sheets to see whether he's joined us for the sprint races so far or not this season. I don't think he has. So this is Harry's first outing in a sprint race with us. We have Vale Side Racing. He's leading the Super Trofeo Championship. And he'll want to try and get some good points, but he's struggling to get the power down and now has no front no pin. He returns to the pits for some more new equipment there. We have Sam Thumpfinger. He is currently leading the championship in the series, so the drivers are competing for individual championships in each car, and then the overall series for who is the most adaptable driver, if you will. So Sam is currently leading the Formula Renault 3.5. There's Ambient Stub. He is a lot further down. This has not had much luck in this series so far, so he's looking to get some good results here today. We've got Kingy going all the way around the corkscrew. He's going to have to get up quickly because there's a car coming down the line. There is Kingy. Kingy is second in the Formula Renault, so this is his best car so far during the season. We are approaching the halfway point now, so everything could all change. Here we've got Ollie. Ollie's who's doing really well in our touring car series, not having much luck here in the club sprint race. We'll see how he fares tonight. Charlie Goff, who is second in the Clios, I believe. No, he's third in the Renault Clio Championship, so definitely a front-wheel drive specialist. drive on a controller, so you may have a bit of an advantage around this track. Controllers do normally suit the circle a little bit better than the wheel potentially, especially over the corkscrew. That's difficult to see. There is Ice Dude. He's the punching bag, or he has been for round 1 and round 2, so he's definitely looking for a nice clear race night if you can. Definitely has the potential to drop some fastest laps in there once he gets used to the cars and the circuit. And then we have Jinx, who's running on relatively new equipment, and he's just picking up so much pace and finding another level of consistency. One of our new drivers doesn't drive with us too much, but in this format to get his experience up and get the pace levels up, and we see he's not running too far off the pace, getting used to everything running. So we're running with open viewing settings tonight. Normally we lock them for interior view during our race nights, but for the Club Sprint nights we have them nice and open so everyone can have the view they prefer. This is the only time we do that, like I said. We normally try and give everyone as fair playing field as possibly can, give everyone the same conditions, then it's fair, no one gains an advantage if there is one to be gained. 2 drivers into the 11.6. 111.6 there, that's absolutely rapid times from Harry and Ambient Stub. You see, Ambient Stub won't rest until he's beaten that time, I'm sure, but he's ever slightly down in Sector 1. Just going to ride on board. This is relatively what Ambient's seeing going around the track. You see it's a blind left-hander here, firing up the hill towards the corkscrew. A bit of a kink on the left there. He needs to find his braking point early and turn in. Don't think he'll find the fastest lap on this lap. It's 4/10 down coming into the final sector, so we've got a lot of work to do if he wants to claim the bragging right to being the fastest time on the board in practice. Just a reminder to everybody, it doesn't mean anything, that fastest lap in practice, because it's not in the race. This is how everything is, and we're only down to no qualifying. So what you see here is just a guide really as to what to expect during the race. And again, I must really remind you, with the random grids with no qualifying, it can throw up some real spanners in the works. You may find the fastest guys, the leaderboard could be starting at the back of the grid. It's 1 minute 30 or so left to go of the practice before we get into our first race. Just a quick look at the sort of best lap times you see for everyone running here. So 11 drivers on track. We may have a few more drivers joining through the night. I'm pressing the wrong button there, coming off the screen. But yeah, we might have a few more drivers coming through the night, so hopefully we'll be able to fill the grid out for you as well. And all being well, we'll have some chat with some of the drivers during the night as well, so after some of the races we'll throw in some of the drivers, have a little bit of a chit chat with them, see how the race went, how they're finding everything so far, and what they're enjoying, what they're not enjoying, especially if the drivers are winning. It's always good to chat to a winning driver, especially after they've just won. Veilside is currently going round with setting his fastest sector times. He's currently 2/10 off. If he can get a nice clean final sector as he comes round the final corner, can he get on the power nice and smooth? Is this going to be breaking into the 1 minute 11s? He does, 1:11.8 for Veilside. So his driver who has a lot of pace, can he make that last during the race? So yeah, practice is done, just waiting for the drivers to finish up, and then we'll get to the grid for our first race of round 3. Don't forget, if you're watching, sat here, I've got the comments, so I should be able to see your comments if you're there. Travellers, have a chat with us. I'll hopefully be able to chat you out on stream. If you enjoyed watching the race tonight, don't forget to drop a like, because that way we can try and get some more drivers to see what we're doing, and we like to do a lot of things differently here. We've got massive plans coming for our season 3. which will start in January after a Christmas break. So we're going to be bringing new types of series, new types of racing, new cars. Not something you always see on the grid. A couple of mix-ups as well. So hopefully we'll be able to bring some of that for you. Just waiting for 2 drivers to complete their last flying lap. Although, there we go. Everyone is now returned to the pits. And that was the standings for the practice. Again, not that it matters much in this series at all. So wait for the guys in the lobby to move forward. And here we go. It is our grid for race 1. There's Jinx on pole. Jinx potentially the slowest man on the field, but is certainly going to be in the prime position into turn 1. He's going to want to keep his nose clean as best he can. Good points on offer here for Jinx, so if he can keep it clean. Into all sorts in P2, and the old teammate Sam Thumbfinger in P3. You can see the difference in liveries there. Sam's in the white and Ben in the blue. There's Veilside in the light blue. And then you have Ollie in the yellow and black in P5. P6 is Ice in the middle of the field. He's going to try and keep his nose out of trouble. He's been the punching bag. He's had a few flips as well, so we'll see how he goes. Charlie Goff on the controller. He's in P7 in the black and white car, and Harry in the opposing black and white car for his first race with us here. Kingy is in the green livery towards the back of the field in 9th. In 10th is Ambient Stubb, and Wayne in the black and white in P11. That is your grid as the driver finalise what setups they're going with, and a plan for damage, because we do run with damage on. We are running with performance, full damage, not full damage, performance affecting damage, so drivers can lose suspension. But here the drivers are on track, waiting for lights to go down. 1, 2 reds, 3 reds, and we're away. It's a really good start off the line by Inter in second. He's jumped Jinx into the first corner and he's looking to pull away. That's Sam, he's into P3. Can you have a look on the inside? Cone's going fine, but it looks like drivers are all clear coming through into turn 2. It is Inter All Sorts who leads Jinx. A really good start for Jinx into the third turn. There's Sam, followed by Veilside, and then Harry, Ollie, Ice, Kingy, Ambient, Charlie Goff, and Wayne. So Charlie Goff has dropped a few places to start. As you see a car running wide there. That is Kingy was one of the cars running wide potentially, and they've got a car going round. We'll check on that later. It's the battle you're currently watching for P2, as Inter All Sorts has clocked out a little bit down MP1, and Jinx is doing a really good opening lap. He's got Sam and Veilside behind. So Jinx, as we see Veilside unable to stop locking up the brakes, straight into the back of Sam there. Let's hope these 2 cars haven't got damaged the last the race. That is allowed Jinx to drive away with a little bit of breathing room. It's exactly what he wants. As we come up to the end of lap 1, there's 13 and a half minutes to go. There's your race leader Inter All Sorts with a 5-second lead in the first lap over Jinx as he's coming across the line there. P2 is now Ollie, Harry in P4, Ice in P5, Kingy P6, Amber in P7, Wayne is up to P8 now, and then there's Veilside Racing and Sam Thumbfinger both into the pits, so yes, their collision has caused damage. There's Charlie Goff into the pits as well from last place. So there's 3 drivers who are getting it for damage repair. It looks like Veilside is done though, just a new nose cone for him. Charlie Goff, he's serving a drive-through penalty for a jump start, because it doesn't look like he's stopping there. And there's Sam, he's away now from his pit stop. This is Ollie out on track. He's chasing down Harry, who's made his way up to P3. And it's a really field started to spread out a little. The top 8 drivers separated by 20 seconds on the first lap, so drivers really struggling to match each other's pace at the moment. But we're finishing the second lap. There is Inter All Sorts, your race leader. Got plenty of room. He's 10 seconds advantage over the rest of the field. Has that lap round to last? So Jinx is still holding second, as Harry in third, Ollie in fourth, Amber Wayne in 7th, Wayne in 6th now, and Kingy in 7th. So Wayne's had a really good race starting at the back of the field. We'll check in with Wayne shortly. Currently going to ride on board with Harry, as Jinx has got that corner all sorts of wrong, and he's let Harry through into P2. Let's hope Jinx can get his rhythm back in order so he's not going to fall too far down the grid. He's 11 minutes, 12 minutes left to go. That you're watching Harry in the white and orange being chased back down now by Jinx, but expect Harry to start closing that gap to Into All Sorts out front, whose life in the first 4 minutes is certainly going to be a lot harder now that Harry is free from the pack. Ambient Stub is also free. He's now free of Ollie to close down. Jinx heads that Ollie's dropped down the position there on the last lap, but he is setting his fastest second times. So Ollie is finding some rhythm, and as mentioned before, this is Wayne. He's coming through the corkscrew. He's got 22 seconds off the lead. He's got a good healthy gap to Kingy though, 3 seconds behind. Let's see if he's got the rhythm and pace to catch up to Ollie ahead. He was 8 tenths faster on the last lap, but Ollie had Ambient Stub for company. So we'll see how things go. Inter out front is just lapped a 1:12.4, so he's actually starting to pull away a little bit from Harry in second. And then you have the rest of the field who's not lapping relatively quickly. Even Ambient Stub there obviously had a battle with Ollie, but he's 4 seconds off the race leader's pace. Wayne was 2 seconds, just short of 2 seconds faster last lap than Ollie, so that gap is potentially going to be closing down. This is the closest battle on track right now. Ambient Stub is closing on the back of Jinx. We are on our 4th lap, and Jinx, who started out on pole from the random grid, is still up in the podium positions. He might not be for much longer, but he's having a fantastic race, epitomising the level of consistency. Only one mistake so far that we need to win this race. So Ambient Stub has a look on the inside. The corkscrew would be very brave to fire on the inside down there. Need a very compliant Jinx. It's actually going to cost him a little bit of time coming out of the exit to come over the left-hander. And Ambient Stub's touch a wheel on the gravel there, and he's gone round. Can he keep it out of the wall? He can't. Uncharacteristic mistake there from Ambient Stub, who's now going to be potentially heading towards the pits if he can get it off the gravel. He's let through Ollie through and Jigsy through, and there's Jinx's round on the final corner. I wonder if he's picked up any damage. It doesn't look like he made any contact with the wall. He just looks like he had the car spun around. That has opened the door for Wayne, closing up the gap here. There's Wayne onto the back of Jinx. Ambient Stub is into the pits. So with 9 minutes left to go, a little bit of drama here as we see Jinx running wide there and coming joining the track, and then have a colliding with Wayne. Not entirely sure there's any fault per se there, because both drivers struggling, but Jinx is back on track, as is Wayne, but Kingy is through, and so is Valeside. So Valeside, who pitted at the end of lap 1 after colliding into the back of Sam Thumbfinger, has found his way up into 4th. He is 37 seconds away from the leader though. In fact, here is your race leader, Into All Sorts, on lap 6, pulling away. He's the fastest man, well, was the fastest man on track. That fastest man on track goes to Valeside at the moment, but Sam, Into All Sorts lapping in the 1 minute 13s. Only Valeside and Sam able to match that sort of pace as he comes round up to the hill. So in second is Harry. He's 17 seconds down the line. He's dropping off the back of Into All Sorts. Third we have Ollie, who is being closed down by Valeside. Vale got 3 seconds off Ollie on the last lap. Not as quick as his previous lap, but he is chasing down Ollie. Kingy in P5, and there is the battle for Jinx and Wayne, which ended up in a collision last time around when Jinx managed to drop a wheel onto the gravel and just pulled him off track and took both drivers off track. So both drivers continue with their race. Doesn't look like there's a lot of damage, although Jinx is running with no front wing there on the visual, so he's definitely suffering some loss of downforce, and expect Wayne, once he can, to find a way through. Is he going to make it through on the outside of the corner here? Thinks better off it, gets a nice early braking point. Can he get a better run up the hill? see some of the cars behind. That is Ice Dude and Sam Plumfinger, the other battle out on track happening directly behind these two. So just waiting to see if Wayne can find a way through past the defending Jinx. I expect coming into turn 1 is going to be a good place to overtake, and here can Wayne have a look on the inside? No, just gets the car slowed down. We're going to have a look on the exit. Jump on board with Wayne. Has Wayne got enough power in the tank coming up the hill? Have a look on the inside. No way through this time around. Behind though, Sam is ahead of Ice Dude. So Sam is up into P8 and is free to close down the drivers ahead. He's having a relatively good recovery race. 6 minutes currently remains to go. Up in third, and Vale has made his way past Ollie. So Vale is up into the podium position after picking up that damage on lap 1. He's having a better recovery race at current than Sam is. The lap times are a little bit all over the place, lacking a little bit of consistency, except for our race leader, who's consistently in those 1 minute 14. And in fact, he's about to lap, if he hasn't already, ambient stub. So the race leader in the matter of 8 laps and a couple of damage, a couple of trips to the pit lane for repairs, and he's making his way through the field. So what Charlie Goff just managed to catch a little bit of a knock there. He's not having the greatest time in these cars. A lot of power, and he's racing on the controllers, which is quite difficult in these types of cars. So we'll see how he fares the rest of the evening. This is the first race of the round, so there are going to be 4 more races, 4 different cars after this. In the midfield, it's all starting to hot up. Kingy is in 5th, and Wayne, watching a battle here between Wayne and Sam. Sam in the orange and white, all over the back of Wayne. Both drivers are able to get past Jinxie in the previous lap. So Jinx is now down into 8th, but there is Sam making his way up into P6, and there is Kingy at the top of the hill. Both drivers are closing up onto the back of Kingy. 4.5 minutes gone now. It's Inter who leads the race with a 15-second advantage over Harry in second. Then there's 15 seconds further back to Valeside, who's having a good recovery drive in P3. Ollie is having a relatively quiet race in P4, Kingy P5, you're watching Sam and Wayne P6 and P7, and then you have Jinx P8, Ice Dude in P9, Charlie Goff P10, and Ambient Stub, after having a uncharacteristic moment, finds himself at the back of the grid. This potentially the closest battle on track. Kingy is leading Sam. There's Sam running very deep into the first part of turn 1. Cutting back into turn 2 and turn 3. With 3.5 minutes left to go, I was going to say, has Kingy got what it takes to stay ahead of Sam? But Sam has just lit up the rear tyres coming out of turn 3, and that's dropped him way back down the order. He's now, well, Wayne's gone past. Is Jinx going to come past? He's not. So only 1 place dropped there for Sam. But he's now looking to put his head down and again recover. He's got 3 minutes or so left to go, so potentially 3 laps left to run. Here is Into All Sorts holding the gap out front. He's starting to slow down on that pace a little bit. Is he just managing the gap? Actually, he's dealing with a lot of traffic. So he's dealing with traffic that's cost him a lot of time, but we have to bear in mind Harry also has to come through this traffic as well. That's I think that's Wayne who's just been lapped there. So Into All Sorts definitely having a absolute flower in his cars. He's got himself in a really good place right now. Fastest man on track right now is Valeside in P3, but he's got a long way to go to find any more places. He's 12 seconds to find to Harry in P2. looking unlikely unless Harry makes a mistake that Vale will gain any further positions. Everyone else starting to be spread a little bit further spread out. As Enter All Sorts deals with lapping Kingy. Kingy gets himself well off the racing line, allows the race leader through. Has Wayne in the last few minutes got enough to catch Kingy ahead? That gap is a lot less than it was 3 laps ago. And in fact, looking at the rest of the field, barring driver errors, there isn't going to be too many changes, but we've seen a lot of driver changes. In fact, as we say that, Charlie Goff is into the pits for what I believe will be damage repairs. He was in earlier on for a drive-through penalty. Judging by the way that car is moving, he's definitely going to have picked up some suspension damage. That's going to be a free place for Ambient Stub, who will move off the bottom of the standings for this race. Still pick up some useful points, even though he's not higher up. He will take these points gladly. There's an extra point for him right there. So coming up to the final minute, depending on where the race leader is, it could be the last lap, it may be one more lap, we will have to see. This is currently the closest battle out on track. We see a lapped car getting well out of the way there. That is Ambient Stub getting himself well off the racing line, allowing the rest of the pack through. Sam's got that very deep line into turn 1, gives him a really good run through turn 2, but let's see if we can keep it off the gravel and out of the wall. It's a massive wobble there as he tries to put the power down at the gap to Ice Dude ahead. In fact, Ice Dude was off track there, so it was Ice Dude was the driver moving offline, allowing Sam through. Jinx is there in P7, he's moving off the line to let other drivers through as well. So it's your race leader with 4 seconds left to go. This will be the last lap, so lap 13 will be the final lap. Inter has a considerable advantage over Harry in P2, it's good 17 seconds as it stands. There's Valeside Racing in P3, Ollie's holding his own in P4, then there's a considerable gap to Kingy in P5 and Wayne in P6. There is Wayne in the white car further behind. Jinx is currently under pressure from Sam, so Jinx drops down into P8, but it's really good points for Jinx if he can finish this lap where he stands right now. It's going to look likely because there's a big gap to Ice Dude behind, who looks like he's just had another moment. These cars must be tricky out there now as the race track height up. In fact, Ice Dude is missing a good portion of downforce with the no front wing. Ambient Stub does a recovery drive in P10 and Charlie Goff in P11. So here is your race leader and soon to be race winner. Inter All Sorts will take the spoils for round 1. And he'll be delighted to be able to get that result. Clean drive off from P2 and then just rode off into the distance. Harry is going to finish in P2. Good result for him in his first race into Season 2 with us. We've raced in Season 1, but we haven't seen him so far in Season 2, and he's back like he never left. Valeside Racing, who had a collision out on lap 1. Really good recovery drive for Valeside. And he is going to finish in P3. Ollie is going to become in P4 if he can keep off the pressure. He can. So it looks like Ollie is going to finish in P4. And then there's this epic battle behind. I think it's finished actually. It has. So Kingy is finished in P5, Wayne in P6. And then you've got Jinx in P7, Sam P8, Ice Dude in P9, Ambient Stub will finish P10, and Charlie Goff will finish P11. And that should confirm your standings right there. Inter All Sorts with the main position. We're looking at the fastest laps as well, so Inter All Sorts with an 11.6 should be the fastest lap. It is the fastest lap, 11.9 for Valeside, so full spoils of points for Inter All Sorts. He will take the 20 points for the victory and the bonus point for finishing with the fastest lap. Harry takes 17 points in his maiden race. Valeside will take 15, and then the rest of the grid from there. And that was race 1. And now we're, with very little ado, we'll be heading over to race 2. We've had a new driver join us. It is Johnny Joyrider. He'll be joining us for race 2. So look, good to have Johnny Joyrider with us. Absolutely sure. He's raced with us in round 1 and 2, I believe. So a little bit late to the party, but he's missed the Formula Renault and will join us for the Super Trofeo. So just waiting for the drivers to head over to change car. There we go. And drivers will get all their liveries set up. And I'll be back with you shortly. Hopefully we should have Into All Sorts race winner from race 1 with us now. Into, you there?
Good evening. Yeah, I am. How you doing?
I'm all good. Nowhere near as good as you, though, obviously, with a fantastic from first row to flag victory.
I was almost considering doing a Rosberg tonight and just retiring on top and going, you know what, it ain't gonna get no better than that. I might as well leave now.
Retire and join me in the commentary booth. Absolutely, go
Yeah,
into journalism.
it was. I was very lucky. I had a lucky grid position, and I think there was a lot of incidents into the first bend, which just gave me an easy race because I had a big gap just to manage.
Well, yeah,
But
we had a
still went for it. Still went for fastest lap anyway. Didn't sit on my laurels. Still went guns blazing.
Now you had Jinx
So
behind you at a fantastic start, but he did you a favour with holding a few drivers up behind. And what you didn't see was that Sam and Vale side are coming together on the top of the corkscrew. So
Yeah,
that is
I, I,
effectively
I
freed
think
you up.
I think Stubb and Kingy had a come in together as well.
Early on.
I think somebody might have hit Stubb, but he went into Kingy as well. Yeah, I was very lucky, but I did get fastest lap, which shows I did have the pace to go
Absolutely.
for the race win.
Absolutely nothing taken away from your the victory there, because even though it's a 15-minute race, it's not easy throwing out that level of racing, especially around a track like this.
Yeah, I think it's going to be interesting tonight because it's difficult to overtake. So I think we might be in for a few incidents. We'll see.
How
But
did the tyres hold up in those cars? Because we're obviously
uh,
running now.
front, front right was absolutely shot. Um, Coming down through the last section of corners into the hairpin, the front right was completely red, done. So I was trying to manage that later in the race and try and not overheat that front right tyre too much.
And how are you feeling about these super trofeos around this circuit? A little bit slidey, a lot less downforce.
Yeah, I'm not so confident. I'm not going to lie to you, Nate. It's like I say, I think I've peaked tonight in the first race, and I'm just going to enjoy the rest of the evening. I do struggle with these cars a little bit.
You say you struggle, you find yourself in P2 in the standings in the Super Trofeos. So with the last race just gone, you're now put yourself into P4 overall and P3 for the Formula Renault. So it's looking good at the start of the night. What's your
Yeah,
prediction for
it's
the rest of the night?
a long way to go, Nathan. I think the thing about the Fridays is, it is random grids,
Yeah.
and that can create you a lot of challenges throughout the evening. And so that unpredictability about the evening makes it very difficult to actually call how it's going to play out.
Who's your dark horse for these cars around here? Who's the one thinks we should be looking out for on
Well,
stream?
I, as one person I think has been practicing quite a bit with the Lamborghini is Jinxie. I think he's putting a bit of time this week practicing getting the lap times down on the Lamborghinis. Um, but we've got Harry joining us tonight. Now Harry doesn't race with us all the time on a Friday, and he's very quick. We've got Vale as well. Vale again, very quick. And then you've got kind of Stub King and Sam. I don't know. It's hard to call. And I definitely have to say, I think Wayne is gunning for a win as well at some point. He's definitely chomping at the bit to get that first victory. So it's going to be interesting. There's a lot of fast races, a lot of consistent races in there that could take it. I do really think with the Friday, it's all about that grid position. Where you start on the grid can make a huge difference to your race.
It's a very interesting feature to note. How's the rest of your season going so far with the touring cars and the BMW
Well,
M1 Pro car?
I have to say, Dave, I'm absolutely loving season two. I think the format that Fresh Sim Racing have come up with for season two is just brilliant. I'm not doing so well in the M1 Pro cars, but I'm probably enjoying those the most just because of the format of the Wednesdays. We've really, I think, with the longer races, the accelerated tyre wear, and the weather and tracks, it's so much fun. So much fun. So even though it's probably the one I'm doing the worst in, it's actually the one I'm enjoying the most. And then touring cars are great. Touring cars are great, and then the Friday is so much fun as well. I just really enjoying season two, to be honest, Nate. I just think we're having a really good fun time.
Season 3 looming large in the start of January after the Christmas break. We already have the Group A DTM 1991 year already penciled in. What would you like to see on the calendar? What's the sort of things that gets you excited on this Project Cars game?
I I love the M1 Pro car, and I'm so glad we've done that for season two. To be honest, I think I need to just take a bit of time. I've been enjoying season two that much, I've not even thought about season three yet and cars. But I should definitely be running a few different combinations to see what I think will be the most fun. And putting that suggestion in. I love the escorts. I love GT5. I love the slow stuff because it's really close racing, like the Clios, the GT5s, the classic escorts. I do enjoy racing those just because the racing's so close in them.
Yeah.
That's my personal preference, but that is what I enjoy. I enjoy the close racing. I enjoy the battles.
We have the two of the cars you mentioned later on tonight, along with the Aston Martin DVR one that comes up after the Lamborghini Super Trofeos. So these will be the last of the power aero cars. From there, we're all down to pure mechanical grip, especially in that Aston Martin. So it'll be very good to see how the race fares from there.
Yeah,
Really,
there's such a variety coming up tonight. It's just brilliant, and all the cars are very different as well.
what we're entering at a very interesting time of the in the sim racing. Obviously, with the launch of the PS5 and the backward compatibility, we should potentially see a few problems here and there. But hopefully, we're going to have a clear race tonight. We did have issues last 2 weeks running. We haven't had any so far, touch wood. So, all being well, we'll have a nice quiet night in terms of issues, but not quiet night in terms of driving. Check with the rest of the field how we're looking. There's Johnny Joyrider, who's going for a bit of a joyride there. Manages to get the car stopped. Coming off, that looks like the exit of the corkscrew. So currently waiting for Wayne and iStude to set their lap times. I'm expecting around the 24s for the fastest laps, race pace potentially into the 1 minute 26s. So we'll have to see what we go from these two down to the race. How are all the drivers feeling in the chat? I know on a Friday night you have open mics. It's normally a little bit of banter between the drivers. How is it feeling tonight?
Yeah, it's good. I think in the first race there's a few people that picked up damage, and there was a few instances which obviously nobody wants to run a whole race with damage. But generally, I think in the chat people appreciated that, the incidents that happened, there was no malice in it. It wasn't intended. It was just unfortunate. And I do. That's why I love this group of racers, because we're all competitive. We all want to win. We're fast, but there's no animosity between each other as well when things go wrong, which I think is just a testament to our community.
Every incident is a case for learning. How do you get better?
Yeah.
It's always good to see.
Yeah.
Some very quick people out on track at the moment, around you and your sort of lap times. She's Johnny Joyrider and Charlie Guff, not too far away. Jinx has just blown his personal best with a 1:26.9. Yeah, definitely one to look out for. And this group is this midfield battle is going to be a very interesting one.
Yeah, it's going to be close, this one.
So we're going into the final 2 minutes left of practice before we head to race 2 of round 3 here at Laguna Seca for our club sprint night here at Fresh Sim Racing. Drivers are racing for each individual championship as we bring you 5 different cars around the same track, simulating a normal club weekend. You'd have the different categories of racing, but fortunately the drivers get to race all the categories without the cost. And they're also racing for overall standing as well, so it's very good to see which driver is the most adaptable. We'll change. Drivers have only got 10 minutes of practice before they head straight into a race with random grids. So they could have the faster drivers anywhere and the slower drivers anywhere as well. Sam putting his former teammate under pressure there. He'll claim he spooked you offline there, and I don't think
I just
he'll get away
I
with
can't
it.
work out where the braking point is on these. It's the brakes. After driving the Formula Renault, you have to brake so much soon. You have to remember it's almost like a road car thing, this, rather than a.
It
I don't
is.
know.
It's less than a GT. It's somewhere between a GT4 and a GT3. This car, so it's a racing car, but it's not
It
all
is a
the way.
racing car, yeah. The brakes are just not that great on it.
It's a good job we leave the Aston Martin DVR1 for the next race then, because that would be even more interesting. We'll see Sam going for a huge drift around turn 1. Be interesting to see if that is the way round, but he's definitely got that Lamborghini in rally mode. Just waiting for the drivers to finish up. It's been a pleasure to have you once again, Hinter, for joining us on
Yeah,
stream.
thank you for inviting
Good
me.
luck for the next race and for the rest of the evening. Hopefully we might be able to get you in with some of the other drivers, especially if there's a bit of a fight at some point during the night. We'll see how everything goes.
Are we looking for a fight tonight? Fight night Friday.
Well, we saw the end of the last stream last week, and Sam, is he going to roll it? No, he's managed just to keep it on track. He almost looked like he was going to roll it there. But yeah, with the Clios and the GT5s ending in such a good battle last week, hoping for a little bit more of the same this week.
I missed that fun. Well, thank you for inviting me, and I will let you crack on and catch up with you soon.
Well, good luck. We'll join you on board at some point during the race.
Thank you.
That was Inter All Sorts. He was the race winner for the Formula Renault 3.5 in race 1 here at Laguna Seca, and you've seen how well he can improve on previous results for race 2. The current standings is Valeside, who leads Inter All Sorts and Ambient Sub in third in the standings, and then Wayne is currently holding joint P4 with Charlie Goff, so those two are drivers to look out for. As to the grid, it's a very interesting one once again. It's Ollie who takes the lead, and Enter All Sorts for the second time tonight takes up that P2 spot, but I think he's going to have a little bit more of a tricky time getting into P1 on the outside line. Wayne takes up his position in P3 in the 45 car, and then we look at Vale in P4 in the green and yellow. Ice is in the red in P5, Johnny Joyrider also in a red and orange in P6. There's Charlie Goff P7, Jinx in P8, Kingy finds himself in P9, Ambient Stub towards the back once again in P10. Harry is in P11, and Sam Thumbfinger in the purple livery is in P12. So as the drivers line up on the grid, we will be waiting for the lights, and then we can head 12 drivers into turn 1. So we're waiting for the countdown. The lights are going 1 red, 2 red, 3 reds, and we are green, and it's a very good start for Wayne in P3 and Valeside in P4 looking to go around the outside. We're going 4 wide at some points coming into turn 1. Has Inter All Sorts been able to get enough ahead and hold it on the brake into turn 1? He has. Ollie gets very sideways there, and now back into P2, but there's a car going off track there. A little bit of contact, just a little bit of rubbing, but it has caused the car to go off, and there's a car going sideways, and that's caused a big commotion further back, and there is a number of cars going all around. That is a lot of damage there. Potentially Charlie Goff or Wayne has had a massive moment there. We'll see, it's not Charlie Goff, so it is Wayne now rejoining the circuit with a lot of damage just caught up in the collision of Charles leaving track and rejoining, and just a lot of chaos there. So as we're coming up to the midway point, come up to the corkscrew here, it's Inter All Sorts, a familiar sight. We saw it in race 1, but he's got Valeside for company this time around, and Ollie is not giving up too easily there. He's in P3. Johnny Joyrider finds himself in P4. Can he keep off the gravel there? He can just about. There's Kingy in P5, Harry's up to P6 already, Sam is also up to P7. Ambient still be disappointed that he's let Sam through, but Sam is up to P7, Ambient is P8. There's Charlie Goffer in the red and gold behind P9, and we see Ice Dude running very wide with some front wing damage in P10. Jinx is in P11, and Wayne with considerable damage. Looking at the light version of his car, he potentially will be heading into the pits this time around. Be very surprised if he doesn't. In fact, he is for a lot of repairs. So that is Wayne's race potentially over, but there's a long time to go. Still 13 minutes to go in these cars. Expecting somewhere in the region of 11-12 laps to be had in for this 15-minute sprint race for these cars, and the front two drivers have started to pull a bit of a gap. So it's Inter All Sorts out front, Vale side keeping Inter All Sorts honest with that second or so behind. Battles happening throughout the rest of the field. There's Johnny Joyrider all over the back of Kingy, and then further back with Ambient Stub and Charlie Goff fighting for effectively P7. Sam has dropped all the way down the order, so one of Sam's had another sideways moment around this track, and he's got himself down the order. So top 11 drivers separated by 20 seconds. So it's a really good pace for all drivers at the moment. Here is Charlie Goff as we're going to jump on board. As we see Amit still grab a little bit of gravel. We don't want to do too much. We saw that in the Formula Renault. Grabbed a little bit too much of the gravel and spun the car around. Caused him a lot of damage, and he ended up in P10. Charlie Goff battling with the car as it gets very loose, as the weight of unloads off the brakes. Here's Harry closing up onto the back of Johnny Joyrider again, watching that car get a little bit leery under braking. Just allows Johnny Joyrider a little bit of breathing room. But I'm sure Harry will be all over the back in no time at all. Ambient as well. This is lap 3, and currently it is Inter All Sorts who is leading. There is Wayne, who will keep out of the way. Is that Wayne? No, that's Inter All Sorts. That is Inter All Sorts onto the back of Wayne, who's moved well out of the way, and that's allowed Vale side and Inter All Sorts to come through. Wayne carrying a little bit too much speed into the corkscrew as a result of the slipstream, but he's managed to get the car stopped. Wayne is now a lap down, but still 11 minutes or so left in this race. So very interesting start of the race. These two guys are out front and pulling a little bit of a gap to the guys behind. It's Inter All Sorts, who's currently P2 in the standings, who leads the current leader in the standings, Vale side, by not very much. Vale side takes off the brake marker on the entrance of turn 1 there. The rest of the drivers will not thank him for that later on in the race, I'm sure. There's Ollie in the background being chased down by Kingy. Ollie in the white car, Kingy in the white and green. Then you've got to wait another few seconds before you get to Harry and Ambient Stub, who is in P6. Johnny Joyrider is in P7, so Johnny Joyrider's dropped a few places in the last lap, but he's holding his own currently in 7th. Sam, who's having a bit of a recovery drive, is in P8. All these cars are only 15 seconds off the lead, so after a massive commotion in turn 1, there's not much of a gap between these cars. Charlie Goff, you'll find, is in P9. He's now 5 seconds off the back of Sam, so starting to drop off a little bit. He's just needs to keep it clean and on track if he can. Jinx in P10, lapping some really good times. He was one of the fastest cars on track last lap, so if he can keep his nose clean, he might be able to pick up another couple of positions. There's Ice Dude, who's not having the best of nights. He's potentially running with damage after the incident on lap 1. He's not pitted as of yet. Wayne in P12 has pitted for his repairs. He's currently being lapped by a number of cars in the field, but he'll just be looking to complete his race best as can. Here's on board with Kingy, looking to the outside of Ollie, switches to the inside. Has he got the move done as he comes down to the braking point in turn 1? We jump back but with Ollie. Ollie's on the outside. There's Kingy through. It's a really good move by Kingy. Just fake the outside, dive to the inside and plant his car on the inside as well. Ollie's had the moment. He's just got the car very sideways and gone round. That's going to allow Harry through. Little bit of questionable rejoin there from Ollie. Let's see him stick to the right hand side of the track when rejoining, not going straight back onto the racing line. But there was no collision to be had this time around, thankfully. Out front it is Vale who has overtaken into all sorts. That probably would have happened. A similar situation is Kingy going into turn 1, I'd speculate, because as they come down to the corkscrew, Vale is starting to pull a little bit of gaps, half a second in front. Can Into All Sorts just stick with the current championship leader and then make a move later on in the race? Kingy is now inherited at P3. He's going to be looking to try and pull away, but there's Harry and Ollie. After ruining his mistake, he will want to put his foot down, I'm sure. Just coming up to the halfway mark. Entering onto lap 6. Race pace looking around the 125s, 124s now. Ollie, after that mistake, drops into the 130s. Ambient Stub is 126. Johnny Joyrider, he's crossing the line, he's doing a 127. So Sam behind is catching him by half a second, and there's gaps of about 1.5 seconds. So if he keeps up this pace, he'll be with him in 3 laps. There's plenty of time. Catching cars on this track is one thing, but overtaking is another. Saw Kingy pull off a fantastic move into turn 1, and Valeside has made his way past Into All Sorts at some point in the last lap as well. So it is possible to overtake here. You just need to pick the right moment. There's Johnny Joyrider. Has he kept it out the wall? He has, but that is going to give Sam the opportunity to have a look on the inside as they race up the hill. Here is Sam. See what jump on the bumper. You just see how this ravage of blind corners left-hander is. Johnny Joyrider dropping a wheel on the gravel. No harm done though, just a little bit of loss of time. As we're now braking into the corkscrew, you see that massive change of elevation as we drop down the hill and finish up the rest of the lap. Only a couple of battles out on track, but from P1 to P8 is only 20 seconds. The rest of the field starts and drop off. Ice Dude has come in to fit his repairs, so he's definitely gone a little bit too long with that damage after on lap 1. Wayne, who came in early, able to take an advantage and has gained a place, is now looking to gain the 25 seconds or so it is to Jinx ahead. He has just under 6 minutes to do so. So it'll be very interesting to see if he can. This battle for P4 looks like it's going to hard up, because there is Ambient Stub closing on the back of Ollie, and the 2 cars ahead are Harry and Kingy. In fact, Into All Sorts in P2's dropped off Vale side out front as well, so he's got to be careful he doesn't fall into the clutches of the rest of the field. You see, looking back there's Johnny Joyrider and Sam Thumbfinger as well. So this battle from P3 down to P8 is only separated by 14-15 seconds. One driver mistake and you could lose an awful lot of positions. And we see Ambient Stub in a very jumpy coming down the hill. Has he got enough on this lap to close that gap up to Ollie ahead? Both cars starting to fall off. Harry in 4th. Starting to fall off from the race leader, who is Valeside. Valeside looking to make it 3 wins out of 3 in the Lamborghini Super Trofeo. Definitely a car he is very comfortable in. And currently has a set of fastest laps to go as well, so be interesting to see if he can pull up the 3rd win and the 3rd fastest lap, so maximum potential points. We see a car in the background going wide and round. That is Ollie, and as we're saying, the moment you make that one small mistake, you are dropping down the order. So Ollie is dropped down into 8th and is going to be under pressure from Charlie Goff shortly if he's not able to pick his pace back up. It's currently the closest battle out on track. There's Sam Thumbfinger in the blue and purple livery chasing down Johnny Joyrider, who is in the red and orange. Both cars climbing up the hill. Sam again with a little bit of a speed advantage, 3/10 on that last lap. Running out of time though, 3 minutes 45 seconds to go, depending on when the leader crosses the line. Looking at potentially 3 more laps now, 2 or 3 more laps to go. He's going to need to close that gap down and figure out very quickly where to put his car if he wants those extra points. Here is your race leader coming through the turn 5 and on to turn 6. Keeping it off the curb as best he can, doesn't want to get dragged out into that gravel. Braking nice and easy into the left-hander to come up the hill. As he races up the hill, I'm just checking, we see that Ollie has come into the pit. That is potentially for damage repair. Won't know until towards the end of the race. But Charlie Goff is gained a position, and Jinx, if he can keep it on track, will also gain a position as well. So he'll want to keep it nice and clean. In fact, is Wayne going to be able to close enough time down? 2 minutes ago, Wayne is a lap down, as is Ice, and soon will be Ollie. So Wayne looking to get a good recovery drive after rolling the car unceremoniously. It's turn 3 or 4 on the opening lap, and Sam is now closing all over the back of Charlie Goff. Johnny Joyrider. Charlie Goff is the driver who's 18 seconds behind, who will look to mop up any mistakes from these two drivers. Just under 2 minutes left to go now. It's been a short race, but it's also been a little bit long race with a lot happening. The drivers spread out a little bit over time, but the rest of the field had a few battles here and there. Out front, Valeside has gained a good comfortable 3 seconds over Inter All Sorts. So watch Sam taking that rally line we saw during practice. It's not conducive to keeping those tyres in good condition. But Inter All Sorts has a 3-second cushion to Kingy in P3, and it's 6 seconds to Harry in P4. Ambient Stub has another 6 seconds to find to P5. Johnny Joyrider and Sam here are 4 seconds behind Ambient Stub ahead. I don't think they've got enough time to be able to close that gap, especially with the battle about to take place. Charlie Goff is P8, Jinx is having a good drive in P9, Ollie has come out of the pits in front of Wayne in P10. As we watch Sam have a look on the outside, he's got the line all wrong. Thankfully he's not caused too much problem there. He's able to slow the car down. Has another go with 1 lap to go. There is Wayne and Ice looking to recover the recovery drives. Wayne's got 9 seconds to find to catch Ollie. Here's the race leader. This will be the final lap with only 25 seconds on the timer left to go. So final lap, Valeside is driving round. Only one real close battle on track. That's the battle for 6th between Johnny Joyrider and Sam Thumbfinger in 7th. Valeside had a little bit of tricky work to do at the start of the race, followed Inter All Sorts for a couple of laps, found a way through, and has since just kept his nose really clean and delivered that level of pace and consistency in around the 25-second mark. 1 minute 25s. Coming through the corkscrew for the final time. No dramas there, gets straight back onto the power, just near around the final corners. It will be Valeside who will take his 3rd consecutive win, and we will check with the standings later at the end to see if he is able to pick up the 3rd consecutive fastest lap as well. So there's your race winner, Valeside Racing, who takes the checkered flag. Inter All Sorts in P2, and Kingy will take P3. Harry takes P4. Ambient Stub in P5, and then the battle behind Johnny Joyrider will take P6, and Sam, unable to get past in the end, will take P7. Bit of a gap then to Charlie Goff in P8. Was watching coming through the corkscrew. is Charlie Goff coming round for P8. Jinx will come through for a P9. Good result for Jinx. He's just picking up these points slightly higher up the field every week, taking advantage of the drivers that aren't able to complete the race with damage and everything else that's going on. Ollie takes P10, Wayne takes P11, and Ice Dude takes P12. And we have a look for the fastest lap. It's not Veilside Racing who gets the fastest lap, it is Inter All Sorts. Inter All Sorts has stopped Veil from getting the points that he needs to keep that 100%. He'll be happy to not to lessen the loss this time around. So that was the end of the second race of the third round of the Club Sprint race. We will be going on to the third race very shortly, where we'll see the Aston Martin DBR1, a very vintage car around here. So just go for a short break, and when we come back, we'll hopefully have someone to chat with us here during the practice. Back in a moment. And we are back as we're heading into practice for round three, race three of round three here at Fresh Sim Racing and our club sprint race night. If you're watching the stream live, appreciate if you drop a like if you are liking the stream. If you're there and you're watching well, you are supporting any drivers, let us know. It'd be lovely to let us know who you're there to support. If you're watching back on stream after the stream has ended, same applies. Still appreciate a like. Still appreciate comments to see how well you think each driver has done. Who's been your driver of the race so far? Which driver do you want to see more of out here we get to see the 12 drivers. Same 12 drivers are here, ready to get this next car out on track. Although no one has left the pits as yet. There we go. Sam and Kingy are leaving the pits now. These cars are fantastic to have on stream graphically. They really do enjoy watching these cars drive around. You see all the drivers taking the pit exit very efficiently and very carefully. It's going to take a while for these cars to warm up, and very easy to overheat them as well. Even though we are running with the weather conditions that are favourable to keep the tyres nice and cool, it's not always the case, especially when you're pushing very hard. So how does the standings look? How do the standings look as we come into this round? Just sort by DVR results for you there. So Sam Thumbfinger is currently leading the number 8 car there. He is the Sam is currently the leader there in the standings. Let's just try and see if we can get Kingy into the chat. Bear with me 1 second, we'll see if we can find a chat with Kingy. Yeah, so it is Sam Thumbfinger who leads with 33 points. Valeside is in second. He's there with 5 car on 32 points. Then we have Ambient Stub in third in the red 23. He's on 31 points. And then we have Inter All Sorts in fourth. You find Inter All Sorts in the light blue 24 car. And then the rest of the field is a little bit away off, so Wayne and then Kingy a bit further back. Speaking of Kingy, we are hopefully going to have Kingy join us any moment now.
Yep, I'm here.
Kingy, how was your race so far?
The previous race or both?
Just the race night so far.
First bend disaster, or second bend disaster. Unfortunately, I run into somebody else's crash. Got a load of front end damage, but it was all aero, so the suspension was still good. So I think so I was happy with that. The next race in the Lamborghini started near the back again, and there was absolute carnage. I'm sure you picked it all up on your broadcast.
Yeah, we managed to catch the car, left the track, and then able to rejoin, but nothing really could avoid it, to be honest.
I was able to navigate through that, again, a little bit of luck. It was more luck than judgment, and I had a clean car, so I was able to, give chase to the boys up front. The pace was pretty hot up front from Valeside and Ben, but I got a podium out of it from near the back, so happy with that. Nice clean car, and on to the next one.
Speaking of Valeside, I think he's just joined us if he's got the chat settings correctly. Can you hear me, Valeside?
Yeah, I can.
Fantastic result. Close on the Formula Renault, and then a fantastic result in the Super Trofeo for your 3rd consecutive win.
Thank you.
How was the race for you? Obviously, you had to navigate through the through Ben, but you missed all the chaos at the front.
Yeah, I was chasing Ben, just waiting for him to make a mistake. Otherwise, because he was too fast. He made a mistake, and I did made a couple of mistakes after that. So he was really close, but after that, I gained my pace again and just made some gap from him, and that's it. To be honest, I was really struggling to keep him behind, but after a few laps, it was alright.
Yeah, these the Super Trofeo and the cars we're racing now are your current best results from round 1 and round 2. What is it about these sort of cars that you really enjoy that makes them good racing for you?
I don't know, just they're just hard to drive. So.
It's always good to know. Same question for you, Kingy. And is it about these cars that specifically this one we're about to run now, the vintage? Because I know it's a bit of a cult favourite in our league. Not sure if Kingy can hear us. No, Kingy's not there. But yeah, it's a really good results. What do you see in this race, Vale? Do you think this is your sort of car, or?
No, definitely not mine. Hopefully we'll be on maybe 3, 4, 5. It depends where I start, to be honest. I just try to keep safe and that's it.
Okay, well I'm checking you're not on the screen at the moment, so I'm not sure you've had a connection issue with the game, but you're in the party chat, but you're not on the game, so I might need you to leave you for a second to see if you to sort that out. We're coming up to the last few minutes now of practice. Hopefully we'll be able to get Vale back in because he's not showing on my screens. So hopefully we'll be able to get him back in time for this race. Having a few connection moments here it seems as well. So yeah, Valeside has disconnected there. Charlie Graph disconnected as well. Charlie Graph is back. Hopefully we'll get Valeside back as well. Coming up to 3 minutes or so left to go. As we join Ollie for the end of a massive moment. Yeah, it's good. We spoke to Valeside Racing there, a man of very few words, but very, very quick out on track, as we've seen so far in the first 2 races. Valeside is the overall standings leader as it stands right now. So he is leading the Super Trofeo by a considerable amount of points. He's not far off the pace in the Formula Renault 3.5, especially after that P2. And now heading into this C-Series here. So overall, Valeside has a 18-point lead over Sam Thumpinger, who sits second overall. So it's now down to Sam, Ambient, Sub and Enter All Sorts are the 4 drivers close enough to deal some damage. Kingy overall in 5th with 135 and Wayne in 6th with 112. Charlie Guff is the only other driver who has hit triple figures with 104 points in 7th. This race though, race 3, is another different type of challenge. We've heard Enter All Sorts talk about the difficulty of adjusting between the Formula Renault, lots of aero, really good brakes, and then you're adjusting to the Super Trofeo, which is a little bit of aero and more reliant upon mechanical grip. This is a car from the 1960s, if I'm not mistaken. So this car runs predominantly on mechanical grip and very, very little aero, as you watch Enter All Sorts get the optimum line, trying to maximise the speed through the final corners. Is that going to be enough to topple Harry's fastest time? Seeing it really slowed down here into the final corner. Through with 1 minute of practice left to go. And he heads up the hill. It's a little bit quicker, but not much. Fastest guy is out on track, Harry and Sam. Something we see a lot with Sam, but can he keep this car facing in the right direction? This is a personal favourite for Sam. He will be looking to do the best result he can. He really does enjoy these cars. And this track that on paper should suit him, but not having the best of nights so far. Still plenty of time to change that with 3 races remaining. It's the you're watching the Aston Martin DBR1 Vintage Trophy. It's a race 3. Race 4 we'll see the Renault Clio Cup, and then we'll finalise with the Ginetta GT5 Championship. All the drivers racing for individual championship honours as well as the overall championship. So it's a reminder of the setting. You've just seen the 10-minute practice. We're going to go into a 15-minute sprint race. The drivers are fixed in setups, so there's only two options for them to choose: loose or stable. They've got no controls over the tyres, no controls over the fuel, and no control over where they start on the grid either. Using standing starts, it's a random grid, which could see a lot of mixed results, or at least mixed startings. Pleased to know that Valeside and Charlie Goff have both made it back into the lobby in time to get to the start of the race, which is good news, especially since Valeside's performing really well around this track so far. Be disappointing to see him miss out an opportunity to extend his lead out at the top. We see Kingy run out of fuel duly on the last corner. Not much to split the grid there, the people who set the times. Kind of look at two real bands of performance, but again it's going to be tricky to see whether these lap times in practice going to show themselves out on track. A few drivers potentially not showing their maximum performance so far. So how is the grid for this third race? Valeside, after winning the first two races, takes pole alongside Johnny Joyrider in P2. Harry in 50, green 50 is in P4. Ollie in the yellow car is in P5. Yellow 46, and there's Ice in his green, orange striped in P5. Jinx is in P6. Ambient Stuff slowly making his way to the front of the grid in these random grids is in P7. Sam Thumbfinger in P8 with Inter All Sorts his first time off the front row in P9. Wayne is towards the back of the grid again in P10 alongside Charlie Goff in P11 and Kingy in the number 19 in P12. We head back to the trackside view to see how these cars will fare going into turn one. This is going to be a different sort of challenge for these drivers, as we're expecting these cars to be a lot slower on the brakes. Braking point's an issue going from the one car to the other. This is another issue again, and then the amount of steering these cars can do is, they're really fun cars to drive, but they're not at the peak of performance. But that is a factor of what makes them so much fun. Just waiting for 5 seconds. There we go. Drivers are now heading to the track and are waiting for the lights. We'll see the engines rev up, and can Valeside protect the inside line into turn one? Can he get a good run off the line? It's Harry who has a fantastic launch. Ollie not so much, and Valeside should lead Harry coming into turn one. Johnny Joyrider in turn two, and Ollie's dropped down into P4. Now P5, P6 for Ollie, dropping from P4. And as you see a car around there, is that Johnny Joyrider's gone round on the exit of turn one. There's an eye on Ollie in P5, so he's gained the place back up with the spinning Johnny Joyrider. It is Valeside who leads. Sam Thumbfinger there in the number 8, all over the back of Harry, and there's the red car of Ambient Stub. Hose him down. Ollie in the yellow car, with his first 5 cars starting to break away. It's Jinx in P6, Ice Dude P7, Kingy P8, Wayne P9, Charlie Goff P10, and Inter All Sorts P11. Johnny Joyrider is back on track now in P12. Just watching this lead battle head up to the corkscrew for the first time. It's the blue car followed by the green car, followed by the dark green car, the red car, and the yellow car. So definitely easy to tell which driver is which as we're coming through the corkscrew. Valeside gets it all sorts of wrong and moves off the racing line, allowing Sam and Harry through. So Valeside very honest with his driving there. He's made a mistake, got well off the driving line and let the affected drivers through. Ambient Stubb running a little bit deep is going to get him under pressure from Ollie behind. As we're watching Harry out front pull a little bit of a gap in those two corners. Valeside runs wide again. Has Ambient Stubb going to have the inside line coming into turn 1? That's exactly where you don't want the Ambient Stubb. You don't want to give him the nose on the inside, and he is through coming into turn 1, so the deal is done before the braking zone. In fact, Ollie is going to have a look here, gets the car stopped in time, narrowly avoids contact as he got enough to go through. Fantastic move on the brakes there from Ollie. Pulls her from front, and Valeside is down into P5. Full credit to Ollie for the fantastic move and his recovery back up to the field. Not the greatest of starts for Ollie, but surely a fantastic overtake to take P4. And now he's got to focus on staying on track, and he's going to have to defend coming into the left hand here. In fact, he's lost the place because he ran wide coming out of turn 4. So great work for Ollie to get the overtake, and then a lapse of concentration as the drivers get through. There's Ambient Stubb. Sam Thumbfinger has got a little bit wide there. Is he able to keep out on track? Sam is back on track now, so that's all okay for him. He had a massive moment going sideways up to the blind corner, but he is back on track. It's Harry coming up to the end of the second lap. Harry leads Ambient Stubb, who's had a really good race from the middle of the field up into P2. Sam Thumbfinger is in P3. There's Valeside and Ollie P4 or 5. There's a bit of a gap to Kingy P6. Inter All Sorts is in P7. Jinx is in P8, followed closely by Charlie Goff in P9. Johnny Joyrider, who had the spin on lap 1, is in P10, and there's Wayne and P11 running very wide. Rejoin the track. Ice do this is best to miss him as Wayne is going to make contact with the wall. He's not. Really well high by Wayne to keep out of the wall, and he's doing his best to get back on track. As we've rejoined to watch Ambient Stubb become a bit of a pinball, as Sam has had contact with a couple of drivers there. Sam getting well off the line. I wonder if Sam's gone for a move and has spun Ambient Stubb round, and he's gone off the racing line to recover. That's what I would reckon has happened there. That's allowed Ollie through up into P2, so Ollie's made his way past Valeside once again. All this is allowing Harry a little bit of breathing room out front with 10.5 minutes to go. Only not even 5 minutes of racing gone yet, and there's been a lot of action. Wayne finds himself in the pits for the second time tonight. He was in the pit for a long time in the Lamborghini race, I believe it was. So he's in the pits for a second race in a row. You're currently watching the battle for P2. There's Ollie and Valeside coming through the corkscrew with Kingy now for company. A few battles happening here. There's not much gap between first and 10th place. Less than 15 seconds separating all those drivers. If Johnny Joyrider and Charlie Goff can work together, they might be able to catch up to the guys ahead. Ollie into the braking zone, into the final corner. Very easy to run too wide here or to put on too much power, as Ollie nearly did, but able to keep the car focused and pointed in the right direction. We're going to jump on board with Kingy. This is what Kingy's racing. You can see the contrasting lines. Will it be able to make a move on the inside? Valeside leaves the door open, but no, Kingy thinks better of it as Ollie gets very sideways in the second part of the corner and on the exit. Ollie's struggling for grip there, and that's allowing the cars behind to catch up. I can't see Ollie keeping these guys behind much longer if he's sliding like this most of the track. So Harry out front is breaking away. Ollie's a little bit of a plug in the bottle here. There's Ollie in the yellow 46 is in P seconds. Valeside in the light blue 25 and third. You're driving on board with Kingy in the green number 19. who seems to have a little bit more pace than the cars ahead at the moment, as Ollie's run another mistake there coming into the blind corner. Kingy's going to have a look towards the outside. Ollie goes defensive, takes just enough curve as he needs to, but the outside runs deep. And Kingy gets sideways on the power coming towards one of the final corners, and that's caused him to lose a little bit of ground with the cars ahead. He's going to want to be as close to those two cars ahead as possible coming into the final corner. It's a really good drive here to see if there's any way through. The green car ahead is the race leader. These three or four cars now trying to look for the battle. There's Kingy's having a look on the inside. Is he got the move done overtaking Vale? Will he be able to get past Ollie? We saw Ollie pull a fantastic move on the brakes against Vale's side. Ollie's very sideways into turn 1, but is able to keep the car on track. And Kingy is up into P3, but there is Ambient Stubb recovering from a moment with Sam Thumbfinger in P5, and Inter Allsorts is not too far behind this battle either. He'll be looking to close that gap down, I'm sure. So on to lap 5. There's your race leader Harry, who has Ollie 5 seconds behind with this big battle that's happening. Ollie, Kingy, Valeside and Ambient Stubb in 5. There's Inter Allsorts in 6th, lifting off the power there mid corner, just make sure it doesn't run too wide. Charlie Goff is in P7th. Then you have Johnny Joyrider in P8. Johnny Joyrider in the green 51. Then there's Jinx, not so far behind there in the number 45 car. Wayne is in P10 after coming out the pits. So Ice is here in P11, and Sam Thumbfinger has retired potentially from the race. We see a car gone round there. That's the 24, I think. No, it's not 24. It's the 20. Yes, 24. It's Inter Allsorts has gone for a bit of a spin and is now finds himself very soon with Charlie Goff for company, and that's Johnny Joyrider up the inside of Charlie Goff. Has he been able to make it stick on the exit? Charlie's going to look to fight back as we turn into the right-hander. A lot of debris on the track there from one of the brake markers. Charlie runs a little bit too deep, and it looks like the move is done for Johnny Joyrider. Up on the inside, he is up into P7, and there's Inter Allsorts light blue car ahead. Not so far. Can Charlie Goff keep out the wall? But a bit too much power on there. Really good job to keep out the wall. And there's Ambient Stubb involved in another collision in turn 1. This time it is with the number 19 car of Kingy. So we're not sure what happened there, but 3 cars went into the corner and only 2 came out. 4 cars went to the corner, only 2 came out. So Ollie is currently in P2. It's Valeside who avoided that carnage, and he still holds P3. Kingy is in his recovery drive, and Ambient Stubb once again will get his head down, or as he would say, get his head up and start focusing on his lines. He'll be racing for to get as many points as he can. The field with 5 minutes left starting to get a little bit more spread out. This battle for P2 has been broken up over the last couple of laps with a couple of incidents, mainly with Ambient Stubb either the cause or the victim, as Ollie and Valeside run very wide there. Both drivers got caught up into the gravel and got pulled into it, but Valeside is the driver who makes the most of it and is able to recover on track. And there's Kingy back on track and closing the gap onto Ollie very, very quickly. And Ambient Stubb once again is there. He is the in the demon red car. Is Kingy going to pull another move on the outside? He is. So Ollie is through on the outside. Kingy's through on the outside of Ollie. So Ollie's dropped down into 4th. Kingy is now up into 3rd, into the podium position. Is Ollie going to be at threat from Ambient in 4th? As we're just changing, just sort of changing the order there, and just see that Valeside has dropped down out of P2. Spent so long working so hard to get there, and he's made a mistake into turn 1. He's found himself dropped down into P5. So with 3 minutes or so, 4 minutes or so to go, it's all changed once again. I'm sure it'll change with the remaining approximately 2 or 3 laps to go. The one thing that isn't changing right now is the race leader, and that is Harry, who has a 10-second advantage and currently setting fastest sector times. He's currently almost half a second faster than his previous fastest laps. You see the high revving Aston Martin DBR1 looks absolutely fantastic running through the hills of Laguna Seca, coming down towards the final corner. Gets the car nice and rotated on the power, and make sure not to put too much down to spin out into that wall. Will this be a fastest lap for Harry? It is 6/10 fastest of 140.7, and that's allowing to pull quite a distance out ahead. There's Kingy in P2. The battle for P3 between Ollie and Ambient Stub. When there's a little bit of contact between the two drivers there, but Ollie looks to take the defensive line. Will Ambient Stub be able to make a move on the inside? Not at the moment, but Ollie's got the car drifting round turn 1. Contrasting styles there, very loose setup for Ollie, but it's made him very vulnerable on the exit, and Ambient Stub having a look. Surely Ollie won't be able to hold off the pressure for the remaining 2 minutes of this race, especially with Veilside in tow as well. The rest of the grid is Interall Sort in P6. He's in a little bit of world of his own. He's got 6 seconds the gap ahead and 10 seconds the cars behind. Johnny Joyrider not been able to pull out much of a gap since overtaking Charlie Goff, but he's been able to pull out 2 seconds. It is Charlie Goff who is in P8. There is Jinx in P9. Another relatively good result for Jinx. He's again not the driver with the pace right now, but the key thing is his consistency. He's always there to mop up a few extra points, and that's starting to show in the overall standings. There's Wayne in P10, involved in another few moments. Again, the second race in a row he's had to go into the pits. Running relatively good race pace right now, and he's got a good lead over Ice in 11th. Sam Thumfinger retired from this race. As we rejoin for a moment at the front of the grid there, as Gar's had a moment, not sure what we caught at the back of there, but Ambient Stub is up into P3, and Veilside and Ollie are in P4 and P5. Not sure if Veilside was a victim of Ollie rejoining the track, or Ollie was having a moment and couldn't get the car stopped, but that sideways style for Ollie going into turn 1. Good pace on entry, but makes him very vulnerable on the exit. So Ambient Stub has been able to close up the gap to Kingy since being released. We watched the race leader with 30 seconds left to go come up the hill. It should be the final lap. Can't see Harry being able to get to the finish line with it 20 seconds left to go. So this is the final lap, lap 9. So if Ambient wants to take P2 away from Kingy, he's going to have to find a way through in the remaining corners. He's probably a little bit too far back. Same for Veil. Is Veil going to be able to pull a move on Ollie coming through to the corkscrew? Veil is currently lapping his fastest laps of the race, so Ollie is going to be under a lot of pressure. Here is your race leader coming around the final corner for the final time in race 3, and Harry takes a victory in the Aston Martin DBR1. His first victory of season 2. It looks like it's going to be Kingy, although it's very close. So Ambient Stub going to get a good run off the final corner. Doesn't look like it's going to be able to. It's Kingy who takes P2. Ambient Stub will take P3. He'll be happy with that recovery drive. Ollie will take P4, just about ahead of Veilside. Interall Sorts coming across into P6. And then it will be Johnny Joyrider in P7. And Charlie Goff P8. Jinx will finish P9. Wayne 10 and Ollie 11. Sorry, Ice 11, not Ollie 11. just waiting for the final drivers to come through. And we are now past the halfway mark of the night. 2 more races for you. We are bringing you the Renault Clio Cup and then the Ginetta GT5. Be the 2 final races. Starting off at Johnny Joyrider in 7. It's all sorts in 6th. Fastest lap goes to Ambient Stub, I believe, with a 140.2. 140.2 for Ambient Stub in 3rd. So Ambient Stub, even though he wasn't able to get the full points for finishing 1st, he will take the bonus points. For the fastest lap. And we will take a very quick short break before we head into the 4th race of the evening. So back again after that short break, just ready to head into our 4th race. We have a new driver with us, Grimesy. He's going to be joining us for race 4. Grimesy has joined us for one of our races in season 1. So it's a driver we know a little bit of. He's a very, very quick driver. I'm going to be interested to see what he can pull out in the final 2 races of the night. Especially in with a change of fortune. So these are front wheel drive cars. It's a first of driving the front wheel drive cars this time tonight. So Grimesy may have an advantage coming in, not having driven the other 3 cars. So we'll see how this fares. We're hoping to chat to Ambient Stub after his very interesting race last time out. So we're waiting for the drivers now to settle everything down. We'll see if we can have a chat with Ollie as well. Just waiting for the loading up here. So very interesting racing tonight. If you've enjoyed it, if you're watching the stream live, don't forget to drop a like button. If you're watching back, watching yourself racing again, don't forget to drop a like button. Start a little commentary and chat. If you see something that I've missed, there's a bit that you particularly liked, I'd love to hear it. We have Holly joining us now. Ollie, a very interesting race for you last time out, but a good result nonetheless. No, I was just talking about the race just gone. We was watching your very interesting line going into turn one. You were the only car to take the rallying approach. But it's worked for you. It kept Amit Stubb behind. I've seen there's a few moments of these cars that are rubbing together. It's the problem with these old cars. You don't have the vision you might have in some of the modern cars. But saying some of the modern cars, you might not have the vision either. How are you feeling about these Renault Clios? This is something you're a bit more accustomed to. No, it's a bit before my time, I think, that one. It's not in my memory banks for sure. Well, yeah, we've got high hopes for you in the front wheel drive cars. We haven't had much time to chat, especially with in the touring cars. The first round of the touring cars was a complete whitewash for you. You took maximum points in both races, so front wheel drive cars. Yep, you're still there in the touring cars. So you think you're fourth overall, so it's definitely something for you. I know you've joined us for the. Carry on. Yeah. Yeah, well, that's something we see in these cars a lot in this series as well, because obviously with the random grids, it's a bit of a potluck as to where you start and who you're starting around, so you have to navigate through there, so hopefully you can use the practice of this to help you in the touring cars. can spend their lunchtime racing. Yeah. No. Definitely. You don't want to be practice on the journey home either. That's a quick way to make sure you get kicked out of the race before it starts. Well, hopefully something was trying to bring with this sort of setup is everyone's in the same setup car. There's the same cars, same track conditions, so everyone has the same ballpark to play in, basically. So the idea was just to let people get used to driving and not have to spend hours and hours practicing. You've got your 10 minutes to get familiarised, and that's it. You're racing. It's all about the racing with other people. Yeah, well, last time out, I think in Catalonia, you had a really good race. You was racing for the lead, if I remember correctly, so in these cars. And you won it last time out, in fact. So definitely won for the cards. What about the track at hand? Which is the where do you think you have the advantage here? Where are you struggling? Where's the bit that you're quicker than other people, and where the bit that you maybe have to work on? Just so far the night, or either. Get into the rhythm. See you testing out a new line into the final corner there. Not working last time around, but I think it's key. You are pushing these lines though. So a number of drivers struggling. Well, with 2 minutes left of practice, I think we'll leave you to your practice. Thank you very much for joining us, Ollie. Congratulations on the race win last week. Hopefully we'll get to see you on the podium again this week. We'll ride on board at some point with you, so have a good race. Good luck. That was Ollie. We're riding on board with Ollie, just checking out the lines. Bit of a front wheel drive specialist, if I do say so myself. Does like to drive these front wheel drive cars, and we'll see how well he fares in the race. So just trying out different lines. We see Grimesy's tops the charts with a 36.2. We did tell you coming into this race that Grimesy is definitely one to watch. He is a quick guy, especially in front wheel drive cars as well. So again, expecting a few other drivers up the top of the grid. You wouldn't normally see there. Charlie Goff is another one of these drivers. We see a couple of cars going backwards down the corkscrew there. Hopefully it's not a collision between the two, but Charlie Goff currently leading the rest of the drivers. as we're watching the car get very sideways coming into the final corners in the last few moments of practice. Now, I almost said qualifying, but I had to remind myself there is no qualifying. Straight to random grids for our 4th race of the night. So we're up to a grid of 13 drivers. We will be checking where they get to qualify effectively, where the automatic random system qualifies them for the 4th time. And then we'll get to the race. This race last time out at Catalonia, so Barcelona National Circuit, saw an absolutely breathtaking race between a number of drivers throughout the grid. So hoping for a little bit more of the same. To see what we'll have to see what we get out of the box. Now Valeside has gone out and topped that time by a 10th. Has Grimesy got enough to take the bragging rights as he leaves the final corner? Has he got enough to take that position? He hasn't. So Valeside will take the bragging rights, but it's worth very little with the race at hand. Interestingly, we have ambient subs chosen not to get time out on track. In practice, he's the only driver not to set a time. Wayne, a little bit off the pace right now. Probably just getting used to the lines and the front wheel drive system. Does drive them again in our touring car series that happens on a Sunday night. You would have heard talking about it. We raced the touring cars, the British touring cars season, which is completed 3 rounds. 4th round is happening on Sunday at Silverstone International Circuit. Look out for link to Discord in one of the in the description at some point if you fancy joining us. It's a very, very competitive league. But back to the race, and we see Ice Dude take up the position at pole. He's be happy. I'm sure he'd be delighted to be out in front, especially in a front wheel drive car, and especially since the night he's had so far. Into all sorts, finds himself back at home in P2 for the 3rd time in 4 races. Ollie, who we were chatting to earlier on, he's in 3rd in the P4 number 4 car. And we've got Harry in P4. Valeside in P5 and Ambient in P6. So basically the top 6 are all very, very quick drivers. Expect them to be battling all the way through. Johnny Joy Ryder in P7. Wayne is in P8. There's Jinx in P9 alongside Kingy in bright purple livery. Can't miss him there. Sam Thumbfinger in the orange in 11. Grimesy finds himself in P10. Expect him to start very, very quickly. And Charlie Goff in P11. So there is definitely a lot of potential for this race and these cars to be racing together as we're waiting for the lights to go green. One red, 2 red, 3 red, and away we go. We are green. As a car further back there has a fantastic start. It's presented as Vale, Ambient Stub fighting their way through the field. It is Into All Sorts who is currently leading Ice, but Ice does have the inside line, and it is Valeside poking his nose on the inside. There's not much way through to there. Cars getting poked sideways. All cars look like they've made it through turn 1 with no dramas. Kingy has dropped down the order to the back, looking to just keep his nose clean and mop up the mess later on in the race. As we see a car running a little bit wide onto the grass there. No dramas though, all cars back on tracks. Going through the first few corners, Into All Sorts who leads Ice Dude in P2. There's Harry having a look on the inside. Ice Dude's giving him the space and then make a little bit of contact coming up the hill. That's going to slow both cars down and give Ambient, Stub and Veilside a big advantage coming up the hill. It's Ambient, Stub in 5th, Veilside in 5th. Johnny's Joyride is right there at the back of the battle in 6th. Then his Grimes is a fantastic start up into 7th. Ollie P8, Charlie Goff good start as well, he's in P9. Sam P10, Kingy P11, Jinx is just dropping down the order now. He must have had a spin somewhere, and it is Wayne in P12. Jinx has dropped down to P13. So starting to see a little bit of break forming here. Charlie Goff a little bit of a blockage in the bottle there, although he has caught back onto the back of this battle. Right, now out front there is Inter All Sorts in the green and white car being chased down by Harry. These two are accustomed to being close to each other on track in the touring cars, although both are normally in the rear wheel drive BMW, so both in the front wheel drive cars tonight. Ambient Stub has made his way up into 3rd. Ice Dude has dropped a balls of places coming down. There's Grimesy looking on the outside of Veilside. The car's locking up and swinging the car around. There's Grimes in the red car, has a look on the inside of Veilside. Has he got the move done? He does have the advantage coming into the next right-hander. Little bit of rubbing between the two as both cars keep just about on line. Veilside might feel a little bit hard done by there, but it was Grimesy's line to take. He had the inside line, it was his corner. We see a few other cars further back. Out front here is Harry. He's all over the back of Inter All Sorts. Has Harry got the speed to be able to find a way through? Both cars struggling to break in. There's Inter All Sorts gets the car right. He's sideways, runs very deep. Harry will have the better exit if it closes up on the back. Inter All Sorts. Will Harry have a look to make a move into the final corner, or will it be turn 1? Harry gets a really good run. Inter All Sorts goes defensive, forces Harry around the outside. Will he be able to get through? Harry looking to cut back. Has luck on the inside. This is going to give Ambient Stub an advantage coming onto turn 1, as it looks like Harry has the move done. He does have the favourable inside line, and in fact he is through. Inter All Sorts a lot later on the break, so takes out the final brake marker. He won't be the driver that will be most hated later on in the race when drivers struggle to find their brake markers. So here's your front 4 leading away now. So it's Harry who leads Inter All Sorts after overtaking the turn 1. There's Ambient Stub now putting Inter All Sorts under pressure, and Grimesy is right there. He's made his way from the back of the grid as Ambient Stub takes the outside line and goes around the outside of Inter All Sorts. Inter All Sorts struggling for pace a little bit there coming off the corner. I wonder if he's made a mistake. But then we have a bit of a gap then to the rest of the battle. And this is Charlie Goff, who's currently looking very defensive to Sam Thumbfinger. And there's Kingy, made his way up from the back of the grid after on the first corner into P7. Ollie is in P8 and then Ice in P9. Wayne is in P10. Little bit of a gap to Veilside after that moment going off in P12. Jinx is in P11 and Johnny Joyrider is now the driver that's dropped towards the back of the field and is looking to recover. Nothing has changed this half lap out front though. It's still Harry who leads Ambient Stub, Inter All Sorts in 3rd and Grimes in 4th. Although Grimesy looking to have a look. Thinking about having a look into the final corner on the inside, but these 4 drivers separated by pretty much a second, 1st to 4th. Will Grimesy have a look on the inside coming into turn 1? I don't think he's close enough this time around. He's going to have a massive lunge on the brakes. He has a look, gives Inter All Sorts a bit of a rub. Inter All Sorts is going to run deep on the exit, keep the inside line for this next right-hander. You can't blame Grimesy for trying there, but Inter All Sorts was very astute in making sure he's not letting him through. These 2 guys fighting is going to allow the guys ahead a little bit of breathing room, but I don't think it's going to last long. Inter All Sorts goes very defensive. Grimesy looking to go on the outside. Will he cut back up the hill? Will he hold the outside line? Very dangerous to run on the outside there, runs the risk of running wide, and he does in fact keep it on track and back behind into all sorts further toe. These 4 drivers have pulled away from the group behind, and in fact it's Charlie Goff who's dropped down the order a little bit now, and Sam Thumfinger and Kingy have taken advantage. As we jump back to the front, and that is Grimesy and Inter All Sorts are together and both off track. Who is going to rejoin the quickest? Grimesy rejoins and takes 3rd. Inter All Sorts will take 4th, and now is about to be collected by the flurry of cars behind, which will see 4th all the way down into 10th. In fact, there is Kingy, who is leading Charlie Goff. Ice Dude, Ollie, Valside and Wayne complete the set. So the front 2 drivers, Harry and Ambient Stubb out front, and then Grimesy recovering from that collision with Inter All Sorts going into the corkscrew. And then we have a flurry of drivers from 5th down into 14th, separated by 5th into 12th, my apologies, separated by about 5-6 seconds. And we see another few cars going round there. Who is that that's gone round? Is that Ollie? It is Ollie. Ollie's had a moment into turn 1 and see him spun round and gone down to the back of the grid. Just Jinx comes in for a repair, so he's not quite at the back of the grid, but he is in 12th and will need to work hard to recover to get anything out of this race. So the winner last time out, Ollie, is currently 2nd from last. There are battles happening all over the track right now. This is the one for the lead. It's Harry who is leading Ambient Stubb by half a second. Both drivers lapping very quickly and consistently at the same sort of pace. As you can see on the minimap on the right hand side, they do have a considerable gap to the guys behind Grimesy and Inter All Sorts, who had that coming together last time around. On this lap though, it's the only one driver who's had the advantage. Harry comes across the line, does a 36.5, and the Ambient Stubb does a 36.498, so there's 2 thousandths difference in that last lap around. So this could be the battle for the rest of the race, provided none of the drivers make any catastrophic mistakes. There's Grimesy in P3, Inter All Sorts P4, Sam in P5 as Jinx rejoins after his repairs from the pits. Kingy is in P6 with Charlie Goff all over the back of him in the yellow and white livery. Kingy is in the purple white. Following this battle is Valeside, Wayne. Johnny Joyrider is then a little bit further behind with Ollie for company. Ollie is in the silver and red car. He's looking to recover. He definitely has the pace to lap a little bit quicker than the guys ahead, but can he get that level of consistency? And can he keep his nose out of trouble to be able to pick the drivers ahead off? Coming up to just over 5 minutes remaining around this Laguna Seca circuit. This is the 4th race tonight. Our final race will be in the GT5, Ginetta GT5, and will be very similar sort of racing with a number of battles happening all over the racetrack. The battle for the lead looks like it's going into a bit of a stalemate here, because the 2 drivers are matching each other for pace, although Harry potentially a little bit quicker this time around. Well, 36.8 for Harry and 37 for Ambient Stubb. So yeah, Ambient Stubb dropped 2 tenths on that last lap. As you can see, in the gap between the 2 drivers has extended ever so slightly. A bit further behind, Grimesy's losing a little bit of speed. He's definitely dropped off the leaders by a second in the last lap, and that's allowed Inter All Sorts to catch back up, and Inter All Sorts is bringing Sam Thumbfinger behind for the journey. With 4.5 minutes to go, is there enough time for these 3 drivers to get into a bit of a battle? Charlie Goff has now dropped off. No, it's the other way around. Charlie Goff is ahead of Kingy, so I wonder if Kingy's made a mistake or Charlie Goff has been able to pull the move. But it's Charlie Goff who's up into 6th position, and Kingy is in 7th, with Vale Side in 8th for company. Wayne has made his way up into 9th as he heads up the hill. Johnny Joyrider is in 10th. Ollie is dropped further behind again, so Ollie's had another moment where he's gone round. He's in P11. Ice Dude, who had a really good start to the race, is not having the greatest of nights. I wonder if he's enjoying his club night with a couple of drinks, and that's starting to affect his performance. As we're watching Jinx come up over the hill, he is a lap down after picking up considerable damage earlier on in the race. But again, consistency is key. He wants to be finishing his race. This is the closest battle on track. One of the closest battles on track right now. We have a battle for the lead, and then there's this battle for P3. Grimesy is in the red car out in front, he's in 3rd, and then you have Inter All Sorts in the green and white car in 4th, and then followed up by Sam in the yellow and red. And if he's closed up onto the back of his old teammate in turn 1, will he be able to make a move coming into the final corners? Further back in the grid there is Vale Side, who has gained a lot of time on King on the last lap. Kingy did have 140.2 and Vale Side 137.2, so it's 3 seconds faster. So Kingy must have made a mistake, and that allowed to go through. But there's Vale looking on the inside, come up to the fast left-hander. Kingy very compliant, allows him the line, allows him through. So it's Vale Side up into 7th, now free to chase down Charlie Guff. Back towards the front, Inter All Sorts currently setting personal best sectors. So he's currently running the fastest pace of his race so far, but Sam Thumbfinger behind is just as quick, if not slightly quicker, and Grimesy is also matching his best sectors. So neither driver willing to give either an inch as we come into the final 2 minutes. So we should see 2 more this lap and 1 final lap round for our 4th race. Out front there is your race leader Harry, who's in the blue 59 car. He's followed very closely by Ambient Stub in that white car there, and this has been the story from pretty much lap 2, lap 3, when all the drivers settled down. Harry is setting the fastest times of his race so far. He's looking to try and really extend that gap if he can. But Ambient Stub, I'm sure, will be pushing for the final 2 laps. As we just join back to the battle a bit further back, as Sam has gone around. It's now a 2-car battle for P3. Grimesy's in 3rd, Inter All Sorts is in 4th. There's Sam dropping down the orders, returns back on track. Charlie Guff under pressure from Vale Side. Both drivers now fighting for the P5 position. Will Vale Side have a look on the inside here? Not much place for an overtake there. Coming up to the corkscrew, Charlie Guff looks to take the defensive line. Any way through for Vale, who looks to go around the outside. If he gets the car stopped in time, it would be a fantastic overtake. He does get stopped in time. The car's rub on the exit. Charlie Guff with a better line on the exit though, and Vale Side, who had a valiant attempt of getting round the outside of the corkscrew, not able to make it stick on the exit. I'm sure that won't mean the last opportunity he has, but he does get a little bit too sideways coming towards the penultimate corner. As we see Charlie Guff get the car turned, and he has a little bit of breathing room for the start of what will be the final lap. This is your race leader, who's got a little bit more of breathing room. The gap almost a second to Ambient Stub behind. 3rd, Grimesy has a comfortable gap now to Inter All Sorts, so I think Inter All Sorts might have had a bit of a moment, but there's a 5 seconds gap. Yeah, Inter All Sorts definitely is a lot slower on the last lap. He is in P4. There's Charlie Guff in P5 for Vale Side for company, and Kingy is there just to take advantage of any mistakes these 2 drivers may have. Sam Thumbfinger is in P8 after his fantastic drive, but his moment last time around. Wayne's in P9. Johnny Joyrider is second back in P10. Ollie P11, Ice P12, and Jinxie is then still P13. So will we see Valeside take a look on the look for the corkscrew? We're on board with Valeside. He's a little bit closer this time around. Will he try the same move going to the outside line? Going into the corkscrew. He's leaving room on the inside. Is Charlie Goff still there? Yes, he is. So you see the Charlie Goff just blocks the line ahead. Harry is across the line. He wins the race. Ambient Stub takes P2. Grimesy takes P3. Into All Sorts P4. We're watching the battle for P5 here. We're on board with Valeside. Will he have a look on the final corner? He's going to look to maximise his drive off the exit. He's got the outside line. Will he be able to put the power down? Don't think he's got enough for it. And it is Charlie Goff who takes 5th, and Valeside takes 6th. Kingy takes 7th. Sam takes 8th. Wayne will take 9th. Joyrider takes P10. That was definitely a breathtaking race. There's a lot of action happening all over. Grimesy takes the podium on his first time out in Season 3. A lot of look for Season 3 drivers. Season 2 drivers, my apologies. Fastest lap rights do go to Harry. The P5 goes to Charlie Goff. It was Valeside who took P6. Kingy took P7. And then Sam, Wayne, Johnny Joyrider, and then and Jinx. So we're going to take a very short break for the final time as the drivers prepare for the 5th and final race in the Ginetta GT5. Back in 5 minutes. So as we head into the fifth and final race of this evening, we're going to have a quick look at the standings for you as to where everyone sits after 2 rounds. This is the halfway point of the season into this race. Ambient Stub has a 9-point advantage over Valeside Racing in second. Kingy is in third on 24 points, and then it is Wayne in fourth with 20 points. Flying Scotsman, who's not racing tonight, is also on 20 points, and Inter All Sorts then behind in 18. So there's a lot to play for during this race. For the GT5 standings, the overall standings has seen the front 4 or 5 drivers pull a little bit of gap on the rest of the field, although the gap between Ambient Stub and Valeside has closed down with the last 2 results. And Inter All Sorts has had a really good race, really good night so far. He's up into third overall with his old teammate 4 points behind in fourth. So we're going to head to the final practice. We will see if we can have a chat with Sam. Hopefully we'll have a chat with Ambient Stub as well, who had Harry on the ropes for a long while in that Clio race. We're just waiting for the last part of this evening as the drivers are loading into the lobby. And we have Sam. Sam, how's your evening going? Yeah, there's a few moments. I think we had a GT5 race round here before in a previous life, and that very much similar situation. Had the pace, but a few corners where the cars would go round and around and around. So we've had some interesting races so far. The field a little bit more spread out at times. There's some really good results for a few of the drivers. Jinxie's done really well, taking advantage of all the drivers spinning. We had a nice chat with Ollie and Kingy, who's doing well for himself. But overall, you're still holding the lead in the Formula Renault series, and you still got P2 in the Clios. So it's not so far out of reach having a bad round. Yeah, this track is just not your happy place, clearly. I see a flurry of drivers heading out on track. It's 13 drivers. We saw Grimesy join us for the last race and seemed to get in an altercation with Inter All Sorts. Did you manage to see any of that, or did you just catch up at the end of it? So you're going to be retiring as your amateur pretend racing driver career and starting up your new career as an amateur pretend stunt driver. specialises around Laguna Seca. Well, that credit at the minute I think goes to Wayne, who did a triple flip and helix and roll in the Lamborghini in the first corner, so that was a fantastic roll for him. Not good for his results, mind you, but still good race nonetheless. So hoping to get the current championship leader to join us, but he's in the party, but he's obviously too busy chatting in the other group. Lord Stubb, Ambient Stubb, is currently the reigning champion and the current points leader coming into this this race 3. Be good to chat to him, but he's not available right now, so we're going to have to be stuck with the guy who can't keep it on the track for 4 and 3 lapses. But we're on board with you, so it was a bit of a chat for this track. What are we looking for? What makes this track so nice to drive? It's very similar to a few of the corners around the Portimao circuit, the Algarve. Very similar increase and decrease in takes that very wide line and entry, maximising that corner. So you are sitting towards the top of the standings in the sprint race series and in the M1 Pro Car series as well. So it's definitely sort of more real-world drive cars seem to be better suited to you. It's just those nights you don't have it. Well, looking forward to season 3. We've already got penciled in. I was speaking to Inter All Sorts earlier. We do have penciled in the Group A DTM 1991 replica season penciled in, which is something that I know you've enjoyed racing in season 1. And there's rumours of a Trans America series, specifically America series. What's your thoughts on the Trans Am sorts of racing? Those American cars do sound good. I'll say season 3 might see the this club race format take a little bit of a break once we try out some new scenarios. I know that ice rallycross racing around tracks is been thrown around in conversations, along with some American-based going around in circles. Which one would you prefer to see, or do you just don't really mind the two? You have to think about everything going around you. Going sideways in my handbrake. With less than 2 minutes of the final practice session to go, I'm going to take a quick break and grab a drink for what is in preparation for what is going to be potentially a very exciting last 15 minutes. So the floor is yours to enjoy. We're riding on board with you. So please do not try and drop it into the wall. There's a lovely tour of the pit stop there, and how to return to the pit lane with Sam Thumpfinger as we see the end of the final practice, the 5th and final practice, and I'll be heading into the last race. Still 13 drivers with us. We see Amit Stubbs-Setter, very competitive time out front. He's in that blue, white and orange. Outside in the black with the red stripes. Grimes's in the black and red with a different slight livery. There's Johnny Joyrider in the other black, white and orange. Ollie King in the number 19 Makuda. Sam Thumpfinger was riding on board, chatting during that last practice session. There's Wayne in his number 32 Al livery Ice Dude. He'll be looking for a good race, but at this point of the night it's probably unlikely. But I'll never rule out the Ice Dude. Not in the GT5. There's Harry pushing round in the number 21. Get a little bit of a whirl on the grass there. There's Jinx in the number 17, and Enter All Sorts in the number 55. Livery. So with the final moments of the practice, we'll hopefully bring you one last final race. It's going to be very entertaining. Don't forget, if you've enjoyed what we brought to you tonight, drop us a like. If you haven't already, subscribe to our channel. We'll be bringing you the entire season live streamed at the Sprint Race Series, with 3 races left to go. Right now we have our random grid order for the final race, and it is Charlie Goff who takes pole with Harry in P2. Johnny Joyrider sits in P3, Ollie is in P4, Jinx in P5, Sam in P6, Ice Dude is P7, Wayne P8, Inter All Sorts P9, Grimesy in P10, Kingy P11, Veilside in P12, and Ambient Stub in P13. I'm expecting a lot of mayhem during this race with some of the faster drivers currently sat towards the back of the grid. So waiting for the drivers to finish up their series. This is the halfway part of the season. We have 3 more rounds after this to complete season 2. We head to the Nürburgring Sprint Circuit next week. The following week we'll be at Brands Hatch for the 4th of December, and on the 11th of December we'll be at Bathurst for our 6th and final round. On the 18th of December we'll be running a special event which will almost be like a Cops and Robbers chase series, which is a really good race, so hopefully you'll be able to bring us for that. Right now we have action on track because the lights are red and they're going green for the final time. 2 reds, 3 reds, and we are green. It's a really good start for Harry, and the rest of the field seems a little bit slow off the line, but there is Harry leads Charlie Guff coming into the first corner. Johnny Joyrider is in third, and there's Sam looking to go around the outside of Jinx, taking the brake markers as he goes, but Jinx is keeping the inside line and looks like he's fighting back against Johnny Joyrider, but Johnny Joyrider is able to cut back ahead and stay in P3. The rest of the field looks like they are away nice and clean, with no one off and no flips this time around. Harry has opened up a considerable gap ahead as Johnny Joyrider looks to go on the inside. Charlie Goff, and has done. He's up at the inside and he's up into P2. There's Charlie Goff, who's under pressure from Jinx, Sam Thumbfinger, and Ollie in P6. A bit further back, Grimes, he's made his way up into P8, now into P7. Wayne is behind in P8. You're watching Johnny Joyrider, the guy is currently in second with a wall of cars behind him. There's Jinx in P6, Ollie has now passed and Sam has passed, but Jinx is looking to fight back, coming down the hill through the corkscrew, and then you see a number of cars following behind. At the end of lap 1 it is still very tight and all close to pay for. 13 seconds to go, so only 1 lap in. As we see, that is Charlie Goff, I think, running very wide, gets back on track but loses the position out to Sam. As the car runs very deep, I think that's Jinx locking up on the brakes, takes out Charlie Goff and Sam for good measure, and that is a number of drivers have got through, taking advantages. It's Grimesy and Ollie. So Grimesy from the back towards the back of the grid is now up into P4. It is Jinx behind in P5. Ollie goes defensive going into the corner. Grimesy should have the better run coming out of it. Will he have enough room to play with though? And there's a lot of bottlenecking behind. Harry out front has gained a very good advantage on his first lap to Johnny Joyrider in second. Ollie is then a few seconds down. He is currently the bottleneck for the rest of the grid, but Wayne, again, not having a good race. Wayne has dropped down considerably, so when he's gone round, and there's a moment of what potentially looked like net code as the 2 drivers unable to detach from one another, and both drivers ending up off track and find themselves down in 11th and 12th respectively. That's promoted Veilside, who did start towards the back of the grid, up into 3rd. There's Jinx still in P4, but he must be carrying a little bit of damage from going straight on at the final corner. Ambient Stub is in 5th, Inter All Sorts 6th, Kingy 7th, Sam in P8. So that is this battle you're watching here for 4th. It is Jinx who's leading it with 12 minutes left to go. This is only the end of the second lap, and we've already seen a number of drivers rise towards the top and fall just as quickly. Here's Ambient Stub taking the move up the inside of Jinx, and Inter All Sorts is going to look to take advantage coming up the hill. Riding on board now with Inter All Sorts. Will he have a look on the inside coming into turn 1, or will he look to try and get a good run off the corner? Jinxie goes to the outside, Inter All Sorts looks the inside. No room there. Jinx takes the normal racing line. It's just enough to keep Inter All Sorts behind. He's going to be losing time to Ambient Stub ahead, but Jinx is running really quickly in these cars right now, and he's definitely deserving his place up in P5, though we don't know what happened earlier into the final corner. Let me jump. Can Inter All Sorts make a move coming into the left-hander? Jinx doesn't look to defend, but I don't think Inter All Sorts is close enough this time around. The field now starting to spread a little bit more. Inter All Sorts gets the line all wrong coming up the hill, and that's going to cost him a ton of time. And in fact, Kingy and Sam are very close behind, looking to take advantage, both using the slipstream from Inter All Sorts. As we come into the corkscrew, Sam, it's all sorts in the blue. Kingy is in the yellowy green, and Sam is in the yellow black behind. And Grimesy is caught up onto the back of this battle as well. So now there's 4 drivers battling for P6. Out front, Harry is having a relatively quiet race and is just driving away. It's a 6-second advantage over Johnny Joyrider in second. Johnny Joyrider definitely deserves to be there, but he is being hunted down now by Valeside in P3, and that gap has closed down a considerable amount last time around, so hopefully Johnny Joyrider can do what he can to keep Valeside behind. There's Ambient Stub after breaking through past Jinxie. He's now got 4 seconds before Jinx is behind. There is Jinx and Inter All Sorts and Kingy and Grimesy. That battle for 5th ever growing. Ollie's returning to the back of that battle as well, and Ice Dude is on his tail. Then there's a bit of time to Charlie Goff and Wayne further behind. Wayne involved in some sort of incident, but not caught on stream. Inter All Sorts having a little bit of a rub there, pushing Jinx along, and that's going to cost him position as Kingy runs round the outside of Inter All Sorts coming up the hill. His 5-way battle, so it is Kingy's turn now to try and find his way past the very defensive Jinx, who runs a little bit wide and puts a wheel on the gravel. Has he kept out of the wall? He has, but Inter All Sorts has run deep as a result, and he's lost positions too. So Kingy is now free. It's Kingy who is in P5. Sam defending from Grimesy in 6th and 7th. Jinx is back on track, which is good for him. Inter All Sorts has dropped way down the order. He's down in 11th as Jinx is starting to run a little bit deep into these corners. Wonder if he's pushed a little bit too hard in these tyres. Now he's going to start to struggle as the tyres start to overheat, potentially starting to understeer. This is something we do expect to see in these cars. It's something the drivers do have to manage. So Grimesy now in the slipstream of Sam Thinfinger ahead. Can he make a move on the inside coming into turn 1? It doesn't look like it's going to happen this time around. Out front, Valeside is ahead of Johnny Joyrider, and there's a number 39 car of Ambient Stub closing in on the number 40 of Johnny Joyrider. Matching liveries, but there are no teams in this season. All drivers are racing independently. Even though they may share a livery, they will be racing for position on track, and no team orders for sure as a result. Meanwhile, out front now, Valeside is past Johnny Joyrider. The gap to the leader has closed down a lot. I wonder if Harry is one of these drivers who's struggling with the understeer potential. He's made a mistake, I'm not sure, but that gap is down. What was 6 seconds is now down to only 2 seconds. So Valeside is looking really quick in his GT5 right now, and the number 37, guys, you're watching come round the final corner. That is the gap you can see on screen. Not much at all. Let's see the lap times as they cross the line. Harry last time around 140 and Valeside 135. So yeah, Harry definitely made a mistake on that last lap, costing him about 5 seconds, and that's going to put Vale right in touch here in the slipstream. There's Johnny Joyrider in 4th, Ambient Stub in, sorry, Johnny Joyrider in 3rd, Ambient Stub in 4th. Kingy and Grimesy for company now in P5. 5 and 6. There's Sam in P7 running very deep into turn 1, just trying to keep up to the back of these guys ahead. That's Ollie in the background in P8. Ice Dude is in P9. Jinx P10, Charlie Goff P11, Wayne P12, and Inter All Sorts has retired from this race with 6 minutes remaining. As we're going to jump on board with Grimesy. Grimesy looking to go to the outside of Kingy. We should see the yellowy green car of Kingy on the inside. There it is. Will Grimesy look to try and gain that speed up the hill? Has he got enough? Kingy looks to defend. There's going to be no way through the kink here. It's just going to cause a collision for both drivers. So how are we going to look here? Is Grimesy going to look to move to the outside? Is there going to be an option? Kingy very late on the brakes, takes the line, runs deep. That gives the opportunity, but that's decided Sam, who's caught the driver and is now out of the way. And Sam very fairly moves out of the racing line, gives the position back to Grimesy. That has allowed Ollie through. So a lot of chaos happening into that corkscrew moment there. Kingy taking a very defensive line that puts Grimesy under a very difficult position of either braking, pulling out of the move, or making collision with Kingy. And as he did, that allowed Sam to collect him up and spin Grimesy around. But Sam is now in 8th. Grimes is in 7th. There is Kingy in the background, but this is the battle between Ambient Stub and Johnny Joyrider for 3rd position. Johnny Joyrider is the number 40. The Ambient Stub is 39, still in 4th, closing that time down. Out front in the 1st position is Harry, who's dropping time to Veilside behind. Veilside is very, very quick. As Ambient Stub's got a good run up the hill. Has he got enough pace up the hill? He lifts off nice and early, trying to get a better run. Johnny Joyrider runs a little bit wide. Both drivers racing very, very fairly, being very strong on the brakes. Ambient Stub takes a very different line, looking to maximise his exit. He wants to get as much momentum as he possibly can around these series of corners to give an option going into the final corner or into the first corner. Is he going to be close enough coming off this corner? Is he going to have a look on the inside? Johnny Joyrider gives him the room, but does it look like Ambient Stub's going to make the move this time around? He's going to look for the exit. You see the car ahead, flames on the exhaust as they changing gears there. Ambient Stub looks to go around the outside, no way through. Johnny Joyrider is just too quick along that straight line. And Stubbs having a look on the inside. That's a very late move on the brakes. Just lift off the brakes, rolled the car through, and it caught Johnny Joyrider by surprise. And Ambient Stub is now through into P3. This is your battle further up ahead. This is 10 seconds ahead now, with less than 3 minutes remaining. Veilside is kind of holding the gap to Harry ahead. He's not able to close up on the last lap. So with 3 minutes remaining, it'll be very interesting to see how that battle turns out. Further down the order, we have Kingy in P5. As you can see there, closing up on the battle ahead. And then Ollie is in P6, so a good recovery drive for him. Sam is in P7, he's ahead of Grimesy. So these two guys have been battling for most of the race. Sam made collision with Grimesy on 2 occasions. Both times Sam has let Grimesy back through. So very interesting to see, with the last 2 minutes to go, can Grimesy get ahead? Both drivers losing a little bit of touch with the guys ahead. Grimesy is looking to position his car inside the corkscrew. Brakes nice and early this time around to try and maximise his exit down the hill. He's got a really good run around the outside. Can he pull a move off? This the outside line just become the inside line for the next right-hander? But it's no way through this lap around. Sam runs a little bit deep into the corner, and Grimesy is back through on the outside. So Sam, a little bit of a driver error, gets a bit too much of his wheels onto the gravel, and that's allowed Grimesy through. But now Grimesy is going to be under pressure coming into turn 1. Sam looks to the inside, looks to the outside. Will he look to pull off a similar move that we saw Stubb pull earlier on? Ramsey runs very deep. That gives Sam the opportunity just to dive on the inside and reclaim the position. This is a battle that is going to last pretty much for the rest of the race, and the rest of the race is potentially going to be another 2 more laps, depending on where the leaders are. Ollie has caught the back of Kingy. Ollie running a good 2 seconds a lap faster than the last time around, so I wonder if Kingy's struggling. Ollie's finding his form. Back down the field is Charlie Goffrey in the recovery drive. He's right on the back of Ice Dude and Wayne for the battle for 10th. Is now going to a 3-way battle, but is just checking where the leaders are. Are we going to see another lap after this current one? I believe we are. So that is your race leader, Harry, in the 21 livery white car there, with Vale side behind. We are going to have one more lap. This is the final lap, the 10th lap and 10th and final lap in the final race of this evening. Vale side is in second, and there's a comfortable gap then to the guys behind. Johnny Joyride is back ahead of Ambient Stub, so the number 40 is back ahead of the 39. That is Johnny Joyrider in the 40. He's in third. Ambient Stub is in 39 in fourth. Kingy, under a lot of pressure from Ollie, is in 5th. There's Kingy in the number 19. Ollie in the 22 is in 6th. Will he have a look onto the turn 1? I don't think he will this time around. I think he's a little bit too far back. In 7th we have Grimesy, and then there's a bit more of a gap there as Sam spun around on the final corner. Can he get the car going? He has. It looked like he stalled it, but he's not going to lose any more positions because Jinx is quite a way behind. There's Jinx in the white number 17 car. Wayne directly behind in the 32, and he's bringing along Ice Dude and Charlie Goff in the background for company. So these final lap really hotting up. Is there going to be any more change of positions, as I think Ambient Stub has had a bit of a moment and now has dropped back into the clutches of the battle of Kingy and Ollie. There is Ambient Stub, and the gap to the cars behind. You can see the gap ahead to Johnny Joyrider, who should take the take 3rd place, barring any catastrophic errors in the final corners. So for the final race, speaking of catastrophic errors, there is Valeside, who's lost a lot of time in the last few corners. So there's Harry, who takes his 3rd consecutive win for tonight. He is going to be over the moon, I'm sure, and his cats will definitely be cheering him on there. There's Valeside, who takes P2. Johnny Joyrider will take P3 after an epic battle with Ambient Stub. Ambient Stub won't be happy to have lost the points, but he'd be happy for the battle nonetheless. Kingy will take P5. Ollie will take P6, and there's Grimes who will take P7. Jinx should take P8 in the end. Sam's dropped all the way down the field, so another mistake I think for Sam. And then we've got Wayne, Ice Dude, Charlie Goff to round up the grid. P6 we have Ollie, and then King Ambient. Who did the fastest lap? We're looking at down the list here, and it is Valeside who picked up the fastest lap in the end. Congratulations to Valeside for the fastest lap, and Harry for 3 consecutive wins in the end. Johnny Joyrider takes a very good podium for him. Really good result. He's definitely comfortable in these GT5 cars. Ambient Stub in P4 and Kingy in P5. So that is the 5th and final race for you this evening. Hope you've enjoyed watching along with us, or watching back with us I should say, if you haven't been able to watch live. I hope you've enjoyed what we've brought to you tonight. If you have, drop a like button. Feel free to hit that subscribe as well, so you get notified when we do our live streams. We are live streaming every single race in our sprint series this season. So every Friday night we will be live to bring you all 5 races. We do have 2 other events we run on a Wednesday, which is the M1 Pro Car Enduro Race Series with fuel regulations, tyre regulations, and some really close racing. And on Sundays we run a British Touring Car Series. Other than that, thank you very much for joining us, whether you join us live or whether you're watching back. Hopefully you'll join us again next week where we go to Nuremberg Sprint Circuit. Until then, have a fantastic week and we'll see you then.